Shalom everybody and welcome to Torah Jewce. My name is Joshua. Thank you for watching. This week's Torah portion is Mattot. And I need to ask you a question. How important is your word to you? How important is keeping your word? And you may be saying, well, what do you mean? What does that got to do with the Torah portion today? Well, the Torah portion today is talking about vows and oaths. And when we take a vow or an oath, that we are required to keep it. Now, of course, we know teachings that even the rabbis say that we shouldn't make oaths and vows. We should, because they're they're going to be required of us. But there are laws for oaths and vows. But why is it important to be a person of our word? Now, let me ask you some questions, and I want you to think about this for a second. And we've all been guilty of this. And some more than others. Some don't have the concept of someone else's time or giving their word. So let's think of this. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, how important is that to make sure that it is done, that you do and you fulfill what you say? If you tell someone you're going to be somewhere at a specific time, how important is it to you to make sure that that happens? Now, of course, there are things that occur, things that pop up that we have no control over, that hinder our set schedules and appointments and things that we have said we will do. But usually, for the most part, those are few and far between. What usually happens is we have not planned ourselves well enough, and all of a sudden we feel overwhelmed, and we pick what we have said we would do, and we push it aside. It really comes down to a lack of the importance of our word. It is so important that when we say we're going to do something, that unless it is absolutely impossible, and that is true, people take and place impossible restrictions on themselves, or impossible expectations upon themselves, and it makes it impossible for them to complete them all. They overburden themselves. But let's just talk about it from a basic perspective. When we make a promise or an oath or a vow, or we say, the sages say whenever we even make that, we don't have to say this is an oath or a vow, that whenever we say we're going to do something, basically that's what it is. It becomes that. And we're bound by our word. Used to, you could do business with a person just by their word, because their word and their reputation was extremely important to them, and how they wanted to be seen as upstanding and upright. Today, it's still in effect with a lot of people today, but I would say for the most part, you can't. And that's why we need contracts. And even with contracts, people still don't fulfill their word. And then you get into, lawsuits and the legalities and such as that. But someone who is seeking to follow Torah and follow the way of Hashem, you must be a person of your word. And it's something we all must work at. It's something that we all must put forth effort in order to do. It's something that's so important. And we need to see, when we say we're going to do something for someone or be somewhere, that we value their time as much as we value ours. We value what we say we will do for someone as much as we would hope that they would return the favor. I mean, what it comes down to is, think of this. You know, we all, when someone says they're going to do something for us, or they're going to be somewhere and it doesn't happen, we, you know, let's be honest, we're disappointed. Sometimes we become angry, and and it causes issues because we feel like, you know, they have infringed upon us and our time is important, and so forth and so on. But do we really stop and think and look at the opposite? That do we do the same thing to others? Now, according to the at-fat principle, which is a turn for a turn, usually those things that happen to us is to teach us a lesson, because somehow, some way, we are doing the same thing to someone else. So we have to stop and really examine ourselves first whenever something like that comes up. When someone breaks their word with you, we need to stop and look at ourselves and what have we done? What word have we broken? Have we broken a vow to Hashem? Have we broken a promise to a family member or a friend or a work a co-worker or a boss or something? These are the types of things that we have to look at ourselves. We have to stop and say, what did we do? Because this is teaching us something about ourselves. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't like to infringe on someone else's time. In fact, I never want to take away someone's time because I don't want people to take away my time. I see people's time as very important, and I don't want to put them out in any way. And in turn, I don't want that either. So I try to be a person of my word. It doesn't always happen, of course. We all make mistakes, and we all break our word at some point. Like I said, sometimes it is just impossible. We have overburdened and put too much restriction on ourselves in some ways. In other ways, it's just because we're too selfish and lazy, and we would rather do what we want to do, or we need to rest because we're just overburdened and we just can't do another thing. So we need to be very careful. But when we give our word to someone and we say that we're going to do something, then we should strive with all of our effort and all of our might and all the help that Hashem gives us in order to do that thing. It's very important to us. And that's why the Torah lays out these directives and keeping oaths and vows. It's so very important that we do that. If a man will take a vow to Hashem, or swear an oath, or establish a prohibition upon himself, he shall not desecrate his word. According to whatever comes from his mouth shall he do. I mean, it's very clear right there. It's very clear. Hashem is telling us, if we give our word, or even if we put a prohibition upon ourselves, and what is that? Maybe that's a halakhic ruling. Maybe we decide that we want another, a restriction upon ourselves that maybe it's not necessary for us to do, but we take it for whatever reason, because I don't know, we want to get whole, we want to be closer to Hashem, we want to increase our holiness or our righteousness in some way, shape, or form. But our word is important. Unfortunately, today people just go back on their word so much. It's hard to trust anyone. It really is. And you say that talk is cheap. Used to, talk wasn't cheap. Talk was as valuable as the action, because you knew that it was going to come along, and very seldom did you find someone who wouldn't back up what they said with their actions. But today, it's so easy to speak and just to, I don't know, buy yourself time or to pacify the person you're speaking with for, I don't know, a moment, a week, a year, whatever. But eventually it's going to come due. So, and someone's going to call you on your word and call you that your actions are not backing up your speech. It's pretty much guaranteed that that'll happen. So we need to be very, very careful when we make restrictions upon ourselves. We need to be very careful when we make a promise or make a vow or give our word to someone, whether we're going to be somewhere at a certain time. Now, of course, there are cancellations and there are things that, there are understandings And those are not necessarily things I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of the times, excuse me, the times that we do these, and it causes, it causes harm or disappointment or, those type of things. So hopefully this Torah portion will help us to stop and think, help us to examine ourselves, examine how important do we see giving our word to someone. Does giving our word to someone matter? Is it like, do we hold it as like a written contract that would be enforceable by law if brought to it? According to the Torah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Because Hashem is going to hold us accountable for us and us giving our word. Well, hopefully you found this helpful to you and a little introspective. Today is the 17th of Tammuz. I hope you're having an easy fast as we recall the beginnings of the 3 weeks between the straits, as we commemorate the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem, as we look forward into the next 3 weeks, the 9th of Av, and more. Let's also take some time to look at our gratitude. Are we grateful to Hashem? Are we grateful for the things He gives us? And I know that a lot of us are struggling, either financially, in our health, with our families. It could be a lot of different things. But there's so much to be grateful for, even in those things. What is Hashem doing? Because Hashem works through everything. So what is Hashem doing in those things? With our health, with our finances, with the problems in our families. What is He doing? What is He trying to teach us? Because remember, it's easy to look at everybody else and look at their issues. The real deal is to look at ourselves and say, Hashem, what are you trying to teach me about myself in this situation? What is it about me that I need to change? What is it about me what negative trait or deficiency do I have in me that you're trying to show me through what's happening through this situation? And then be grateful that Hashem is paying you attention and that He is trying to help you be better and to learn. So this is something we should be grateful for. But this minor fast day of the 17th of Tammuz, look it up and do some reading on it. There's Selichot prayers for them as well, along with our regular prayers. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all your support on the website and the congregation. And thank you so much for all that you do. May Hashem bless you and keep you. And may your fast be an easy one. Shalom, shalom.